Meeting has begun.
Go over these now that we're in a new award cycle, and we'll probably revisit these annually. So we think it's really important, and we'll try our best to make it interesting. Okay, so we're going to start out and we're going to revisit roles because they change slightly between Phase 1 and Phase 2, and we have a lot of players here, so it's something I think we're going to talk about often throughout the project. We're going to talk about key special condition awards that I think pertain to all of your grants, and then just quickly talk about performance metrics and progress reports. Okay, so I don't know if all of y'all remember, but when we started the project, and I mean, think about it, it was about a year ago last January, I think most everyone had their budgets approved and we're just getting started. Did somebody just hop in? Okay, so at that time we developed a contact list and we also developed a roles document. And we did that because we wanted to try to get roles clarified from the get-go. Especially with so many people, so many moving pieces, and so much momentum going forward. It's something that I think we need to come back to. So with the state demonstration sites, everyone agreed to these points. They were taken directly from the solicitation. But while I go over them, if anyone from Montana or Virginia wants to type in the chat box or when I'm done, let me know if this still pertains to the work that you think you've done over the past year. I think it does with the primary bullets. I mean, I think it really encompasses what you've been doing. And then establishing a network of stakeholders, conducting the needs assessment, developing the strategy, and continuing to participate fully in the evaluation. So does anyone want to comment on that, or does it sort of sum up what your role's been this past 12 months?
And this is Bethany. Again, just to kind of reiterate Lindsay's point, feel free to jump in. Virginia and Montana. Oh, I see Lori just chimed in. Lori's still on point with all these objectives. So feel free just to jump in and provide any comments during our presentation today. We're super informal today.
Yeah, and these the Phase 1 here roles is something we worked as a group. I think we sent this around to everyone and make sure that we had your buy-in. So if you think we did not yet have a chance to do that with Phase 2, however, we took these from the solicitation. So if you think there's things we should add to this, or if these items don't fully sort of represent what you've been working on, let us know. But as we move to Phase 2, the roles shift slightly. So we move, again, from this strategic phase to more of an implementation phase. So now we're asking the sites, and I don't know, I think everyone has heard this for the sites, but I don't know if the sites have heard what we've asked the council to do. So that's, again, why we're revisiting this today and sharing this information with all of us. So they're going to finalize and implement the strategy. We've asked in the second phase to start participating more in workshops and training so that other states can assist in replication. So that's something we know that we hope you'll budget for in the future. Participate in peer-to-peer consultation, networking, so we're really hoping to look for exchanges now that you guys have been doing a lot of work, have research, have some lessons learned, finding ways for Montana and Virginia to exchange information and to work directly together. And start to identify lessons learned. So as the state demonstration site, if you were to have done this differently, if you were to do it again, what sort of lessons have you learned? What are you doing really well? What might you tweak had you gone back and done things in a different way? And again, we want you to continue participating fully in the NIJ evaluation. So again, if anyone wants to jump up on this, we had to sort of identify what the next 5 years are going to start to look like, way back when. We know this is certainly going to change, and a lot more is going to be added to this as we move forward. So any further comments on the roles of the state demonstration site?
And Lindsay, this is Bethany. I'm taking our no comments as, yep, everybody's on the same page.
Oh, yeah. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with just a few minutes to see if anyone's hitting mute or not, so it's fine.
I see Lori is typing. Yes, She says, yes, we're on the same page.
So regarding the training and technical assistance, and again, I think this also mirrors what we've seen the council then doing. So just working extensively with the 2 demonstration sites, assisting in the development of the stakeholder sites, providing tools, resources to help with the needs assessment, working to develop a strategy, and then they're also developing materials that can help in the replication of these efforts, also participating fully in the evaluation. So the council, does this sort of feel like, yes, this is on track for what your past 12 months has been, this has been your role?
I think that, yes, absolutely. And we welcome the sites to be, reaching out to us at any point if, when we talk about, the language you used was extensive work with the sites, that we see their goals as our goals also. So it's not just providing tools and replication, but that we really want to be working shoulder to shoulder with them as they're developing their strategies, as they're trying new initiatives, and I would say also in collaboration with ICF and NIJ.
And I think
Oh,
I apologize. This is Carlene. I think that the assessments that are coming up in the next few weeks are really going to help Michelle and I be able to put some lessons learned, across the board, across sites on paper.
Right.
But I know that I believe each of the sites are both interested in doing something like that.
Yeah, and so that is one of our goals on site, is to not only provide training and technical assistance, but to also gather some information about lessons learned so that we can address challenges as well as those things that have been going well on site.
Mm-hmm. And lessons learned are certainly something that takes time and the opportunity to sort of step back and reassess the work that's been done. So moving into the second phase of implementation, I actually think when they started the project, I think there might have been a thought that, maybe training and technical assistance would be very much needed at the beginning, and then once everything was up and moving, it wouldn't be as needed. But Bethany and I certainly disagreed with that. We think once, this is a really huge endeavor that everyone has been taking, and as the project goes to implementation phase, there's certainly going to be road bumps, and especially working across disciplines and with different personalities. And so we hope that, there's TA, we just want that to continue throughout, that we think that support is so necessary to this project. So you're going to, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, just to chime in, Lindsay, when Lizzie said that they thought that the first phase was going to be more needed and then it would lighten up, we mean our bosses at OVC. We all, I think, collectively across the
I'm sorry.
that's okay. So we all disagree, and we're all advocating and pushing for continued support and for TNCA throughout the project. So I just wanted to clarify for everybody that the council didn't think that, the states didn't think that, it was our bosses, but we think that we've persuaded them otherwise.
Well, and the intent was to say we are in this all for the long haul, and right, this is such an interwoven amount of work, and just so necessary that, as you'll see, as putting these points together, I saw, the sites, part of their role is really to work hand in hand with the TA and with NIJ. When we ask, when we look at the points we're asking the council to do, we're really looking for them to just continue to assist the sites, and so I just wanted to stress how important that is. It's so important that we gave you 2 slides worth of work. So we're also asking you to continue to develop materials not just for the sites, but so other states can start to look towards replication. We're asking for that peer-to-peer consultation. We're asking for the council to continue to facilitate that work. And then, again, continue to look for relevant lessons learned, as you said. So looking back, are there different ways that the TA could be provided? What are you really doing well? What might you tweak moving forward? And fully continuing to work with the evaluation. Which, moving into the evaluation, their work is to continue to document these activities for the sites, for the council, and for OVC. And they do that through ongoing communication and management, developing their various research tools and instruments, conducting the baseline study that you've all began to take part of and hear from ICF on. I can't reiterate this nearly as well as Sarah does, but I did dig up a visual that she had provided. There we go. That sort of shows these different pieces in motion for the phase one of the evaluation work. Sarah, are you on the call?
Sarah's not, but this is Jake. I am on the call.
Okay. Do you want to add anything to that?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm still learning everything here. I'm the new guy on the call. No, I don't think I have anything to add. Yeah, we're in the process of finalizing all these initial things to make sure the evaluation is going to go smoothly.
Exactly. And then I checked in with Sarah on sort of how that looks in phase two. And they're going to continue to document those activities. They're going to finalize the impact evaluation, the design, and the tool instruments. They're going to continue the ongoing evaluation of the TTA, and then finally there will be a formal report and dissemination of that report. So are there any questions about that role? Again, I think for me, for revisiting, again, it was just to show how interwoven this project is, and it reassessed that we're in this for quite a long time. And then here's our friendly faces. I also dug this up from our orientation webinar almost a year ago. And at OVC and NIJ, we're just going to continue to review and approve major plans, project-generated documents, as you know. Just to put out there, I feel like when we started this, Stephanie and I, at least for myself, we're much faster on the take in terms of response. Here at OVC lately, we have just been so swamped, and I want to apologize, but at the same time, just give you a heads up so that way you can give us a little bit more notice if possible. Or just to explain, it's not because we're diverting interest. We love this project, and we're trying to get it pulled back as we can. It's just been a little crazy lately. We have a bunch of new staff onboarding, so we're really hoping that the works will be less mucked up lately. And then we are going to continue to provide guidance on significant project plans. So things like the one-pager and our messaging that we want for this whole project moving forward, we're going to work on that guidance just so that we can continue the direction. Things like revisiting our roles is part of that. And then we'll continue to participate in meetings and trainings. Stephanie, you want to add anything in there?
No, just that Lindsay and I are still on your team. We continue to advocate, push forward for this project. We have a whole lot of interest back at the office. And thank you, Lindsay, for just kind of sharing that we're a little stretched a little thin these days, but it doesn't mean that we are not committed to you all, so please just bear with us. And don't take it personally if we ever have a slightly more delayed response to you.
And please hound us. Email away. Don't ever hesitate if you need something. All right, Bethany.
Here we go, guys. Everyone's favorite topic, special conditions. So when folks receive federal funds, you receive something that's called an award document or an award package, and it lists out these fun special conditions. The average number these days seems to be about 40 special conditions, which are all of the things that you are agreeing to kind of comply with, abide by in exchange for accepting this award. So if you have never seen your award document, ask your folks who might have access to that. You'll definitely want to review that and review the special conditions. And I think that everyone that's on the phone right now has probably seen it. So today we just wanted to remind folks you got a new award document with your continuation fund. We wanted to kind of refresh and remind folks of some of the key special conditions. And it's really as much for you all as it is for me and Lindsay to remind ourselves about keeping on pace for something. So there are kind of these three key topics that we wanted to touch base on. First is that just reminding folks that this is a cooperative agreement. The way that a cooperative agreement is different from a grant is that there's a lot more involvement by the program office. So if you are a nerd and you like special conditions, you can refer to special conditions 19, 20, and 21. They may be slightly different across award documents. So ICF, your award package may have a different number. But generally, what this means is that there's a lot of joint decision-making, a lot of consultation, a lot of conversation, particularly before any major changes are made to the original proposal. And there are a lot of reviews and approvals. So these come as no surprise to you all. It may have been a little bit something interesting getting used to last year, but I think we're all pretty much into the swing of things now. So secondly, folks are developing more and more publications and printed materials now that we're underway. I think that everyone is kind of developing some communication pieces, one-pagers, talking points, newsletters, all kinds of fantastic stuff to get the word out about the project. And so we just want to remind folks that that we, as the program office, OVC, need to review and approve those in advance, which again isn't anything new, and also something that personally I fell off my radar was that we also need to use some disclaimer language that just says this product was developed with support from cooperative agreement, blah blah blah, and if you don't already have that disclaimer language, Lindsay and I are happy to share it with you. And it's super easy. Nikki's on the line now. Nikki, I just shared the disclaimer language with Nikki yesterday for a printed material she was developing, and she could chime in about. Hopefully it was super easy just to kind of put that in there. And it can be in little bitty spots, kind of in a hiding spot, but we just want to make sure that the general public, folks who review these documents are aware that this work is funded through this cooperative agreement. It is also possible to use OVC's logo. It is something that takes some more approval, so it'll definitely take longer than 7 days. 7 days is something me and Lindsay, we can turn stuff around to use pretty quickly, but using OVC's logo will take a few more levels of approval, but it is certainly possible. And so if there's ever an interest in using OVC's logo, let's chat about that, and we can proceed with the process to make that happen. And then, let's see, Lori has a question. Does it go on any and all documents that are approved for dissemination? And Michelle is also asking a similar question about the types of documents that require disclaimer language and logos. I would say that routine communications like one-pagers and newsletters, those sorts of things, and websites should include the disclaimer language. If it's something like an agenda for a meeting, I do not think it needs to contain the disclaimer language. And I'm going to certainly invite Lindsay to chime in if you feel differently.
Here's my example as well.
Okay. And then logos, I would say that if you're developing something that's going to be printed and distributed very widely, and you really want, so it's like a final thing that we are like putting out on websites and Facebook pages and all this kind of stuff, then that might be something that could rise to the level of a logo. And but just be aware that it'll take a lot of approval. For now, you could use your own logos as much as you like. Michelle, how about a PowerPoint? So in terms of the disclaimer language for a PowerPoint, I kind of have mixed feelings about that. Lindsay, what do you think? I mean,
No, I don't. It kind of depends on the situation, but that's why I said I've seen it enough that I would just put it in the footer on the cover page or on the back. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might. Oh, I was going to say it might
need to
depend on something, depending on the level of the PowerPoint. But if it's a training that you're giving often about the project, definitely.
Yeah. And
If you're
so
talking about the definitely.
And so thinking about EVAW, which is probably on your mind, Michelle, I think we could go either way. Honestly, all that content is funded by 4 different cooperative agreements, so it might be a little tricky to put the disclaimer language on that. I think it's okay not to, because we will have the disclaimer in other printed materials that we distribute at that conference. What do you think, Lindsay? Are you comfortable with that?
And that's fine too.
Okay. And let's see. Nikki says, can we use the OVC logo even if it isn't required? You can use the OVC logo, but we have to put it through a different internal process. So that has to be, it has to go through more levels, and ultimately our director has to say, yes, I'm comfortable with using OVC's logo on this document. So I would say to reserve the use of OVC's logo for like a really big kind of thing. And does that help? Does that help, guys? Because it seems like there are lots of good questions about this disclaimer language stuff. Michelle is typing. Please email disclaimer language. Yep, absolutely do that. Nikki is typing. And again, you know, Lindsay and I are raising these because these are also things we have, you know, kind of, as more and more publications and materials started coming in, we started saying, we got to make sure we have our ducks in a row. So Nikki says, we use the OVC logo on our PowerPoint for the stakeholder meeting. Should I take it off? Nikki, don't worry about it. Yeah, I think it's as long as, if you're putting stuff out to the public, get our approval first. Generally, what you are doing for your stakeholder meeting is kind of internal. So unless you have to post that to the website too, I think that you're okay with what you did. And my computer is freezing up right now, guys. So I'll just need someone to read the other questions that might come in.
Okay, so Lori has typed, as discussed in our call last week, also like to include something such as a screening tool which indicates that it cannot be used for purposes outside the project.
Lindsay, do you want to chime in on that one?
I said that she could add a line, but as I'm thinking, I mean, again, it is public, right? I would just add draft all over it, and then the language. And you can add a line that says something. I don't know if there's any preventative. It's certainly in no way legal, you know, but you can say, please don't or don't. The other language we have is sort of our standard approved legal language. You can certainly add something, and I would just put draft all over it.
I would put draft all over it too if you're trying to kind of make the information public, but it's letting folks know that it's preliminary and you don't want it really distributed or used in a way that you don't want it used. I think putting draft, you know, like that background, even draft watermark or something like that, if it's, you know, pretty scary. And then, are there any other questions, Michelle? And if not, I'll move on to the last, the conference meeting approval stuff.
We have Lori typing right now. Give her a couple seconds. Okay, so she said, got it. We did the watermark and added a line. The concern is that particularly with the screen, that folks are wanting to pilot it before it's ready to be piloted.
So that sounds like a good problem to have. But yeah, it's definitely kind of a problem for you guys because you're like, wait, we're piloting it.
Right. Remember, I apprised you this yesterday, Bethany.
It's exciting that folks are so excited about this and are ready to embrace it. Sounds like you're kind of telling them, hold on, we're not there yet, So exciting stuff. I'm going to move along to our last kind of big picture thing that we wanted to remind you guys of, and that's conference and meeting approvals. So recently, this past week, we got kind of bitten behind by a surprise meeting approval. So we just wanted to remind folks to just be mindful of when you're planning a meeting that you want to review with us that kind of 10-question criteria just to determine whether or not we need to push it through this 90-day pre-approval process. Does anyone have any questions about that? So if we don't have any questions coming in, I will
pause one more moment. I think Lori's typing.
Oh, great.
Lori's saying, can you define conference, for example, for training?
Yeah. So the 10-question criteria defines conference and training/meeting for us. So I would just say that after this webinar, we can send out that 10-question criteria. It's in the OJP Financial Guide. And if you can answer no to all of the questions, that means you do not have to go through the process. If you have to answer yes to one of them, then you do have to go through the process. At this point, I don't have them kind of off the top of my head, but if anyone else does, or if it's okay just to agree to follow up to send those out after the call, are folks okay with that? That would be helpful. Okay, so he will move on to the final slide on special conditions, and this was my attempt at special condition humor. Just to remind you guys, some of these special conditions seem pretty silly, and those are the fun ones to talk about. So just to remind you guys, you cannot provide funding to Acorn. You cannot text while driving, while working as part of this grant, and you cannot pay for business or first class air travel with your grant fund. So, ha ha ha. They're silly, but just remind us, it's what your organization signed off on, so we got to follow it. And if you ever have questions about them, just let us know. And they're definitely written in legalese, so Lindsay and I are getting better and better about translating this. But those are your special condition reminders. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bethany. All right, and now to talk about performance metrics and report. How timely, since they're due today. We just wanted to quickly go over these and give you a chance, should you be struggling today or have any questions, to answer them. And we just want it to be known, I'm sure you all already have this, but make sure you have up a clear system to collect your performance metric data. Something that, should we be audited in the future, that it's very clear you have a system. We'd like your progress report narratives ideally to be written out as a separate Word document and attached in GMS. We'd like you to think back or look back at your original application narrative and take those, the different categories of what you said you do, take the headers, etc., and speak to each of those activities. Tell us what you did to meet that during the reporting period, what were the successes, the challenges, lessons learned, etc. If you did not do your narrative this way right now, don't worry about it. Your main goal is just to get everything in GMS today. Bethany and I will be taking a look at them, and should we have any questions, should we need you to restructure it all, we'll send it back. It's not as big of a deal. The only big deal is making sure you get it in today, which I'm sure you all know. And so it's due today for the first 12 months of our 15-month first phase. And it's fine if it's in PDF. I just mean an extra Word doc. I mean, some people, there's a little text box in GMS. We're just trying to emphasize we want something much more substantial than a small text box paragraph for the reporting period. We'd like an entire attachment with a report, a detailed report. We also would like for you to attach as many items as you did during the reporting period as attachments to really show your work. Our director continues to say, you know, when audited, this GMS and what you upload in there is your record of the activities that were conducted. So you guys are doing so much work. It's just important to upload whatever you can to really demonstrate all that's been done. We have been copying and pasting the narrative in GMS. Do you want that and the narrative as an attachment, or leave the box empty? You know what? Why don't you submit whatever you need to submit today? Bethany will take a look at it and then get back to you.
And Nikki, the way that y'all have been doing it has been great. I think that you've just been putting a little bit in the narrative box, but then also submitting an attachment with a much longer explanation.
There you go.
So the way that you've been reporting has been just fine.
And please don't get stressed out if we tell you anything today that you're not doing. We just want you to get it in GMS, and then we can get back to you if we need additional information or any changes. I'm going to pause just for a second because Lori is asking a question. Okay. Yeah, Lori, I was thinking about you. So Lori's asking if there's a way to upload more than one at a time because they have so many attachments. I would think you should take each one. I think there's a way when you can do PDF and kind of merge each PDF so that they're all saved as one file, and then you only have to upload once. GMS is not that sophisticated, so it doesn't have the capacity to do more than once. I don't think. Maybe y'all know. But no, whenever I'm using it, it asks me to do one document and it says, do you want to upload another document? And it's one by one. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just make it into one large attachment. Okay, so I wanted to just flag something for you for the next reporting period. So if you go back to your awards and the guidance for this next reporting period, so that will be the January to June 2016 reporting period, and we move into phase 2 in April. We slightly tweaked your performance metrics on your award. The language goes from development language to implementation language. There might be an additional one or two, I also believe. So note that for your tracking purposes. Also note that when you report then at the end of July, because we have this wonky 15 months, you'll actually be reporting for 2 separate performance metrics, if that makes sense. And unfortunately, I don't think GMS is set up for this. So on your own, please make sure you're tracking up through April the first set of performance metrics, and then after that you move over into the second ones on the second award. I'm sorry we did that to you, and it won't happen again, I don't believe. We've moved into implementation, so these should be what it is moving forward. Are there any questions about that?
So I have two questions. This is Erin at the council. The first question is when will we be able to see those? When can we log on? And then the second is if we have reports due in July so that they would cover January through June 2016, does that mean we need to report on the first set of metrics and the second set of metrics?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I just started to, put all this together and say, whoa, I think we have a GMS issue. I think what I'm anticipating will happen is the GMS will ask you for the second set of performance metrics. And that on the Word document, if you could keep, a separate chart of your own saying this is what it was for the first part. They don't divert too differently, and you should be able to see those. They should be attached to your award and the guidance that you receive.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. No, and again, that was just something we flagged and stuff we have to be conscious of having this 15-month award period, which doesn't necessarily fit in with our 12-month reporting or, 2 semi-annual reports. And so now we move to Q&A. If anyone has any questions, and it doesn't have to be on the items we discussed. Anything that's specific to the grant or grant management, let us know.
So Lori posed a question. Nikki commented that if a file is too large, GMS will not upload it. And Lori's question is, should we do 2 separate charts or just merge them into one? And then Nancy has been the one uploading everything, but after yesterday, she's ready to get me on the system so that she can do it herself. Okay.
I know that's right. GMS can be a little burdensome. I'm glad you all, I think you've all been able to get in and not have any difficulties, I hope. And in terms of separate charts, let's as you start to sort of, if you get your tools together, your charts, look at the different performance metrics and let us know if you have any questions about how you chart it. But I think look at them, look at how you're gathering data now and how you're going to have to tweak it, and we can help if you have any questions about how you're doing that. Does that sound good? And again, I think this is something we'll hit up again in another reporting period. This won't be the only time we have to do this. All right, great. Thank you so much to the council for hosting us. And do y'all have anything you want to end us off with on a Friday, or?
Oh, yeah. Well, before the good news, Bethany here jumping in to say that we owe you all 2 things, that the disclaimer language and the 10 items, the 10 question criteria that defines a meeting. And I'm pulling that together now to send to you, Lindsay. So just want to close that loop. Okay.
Lindsay, are you going to share our good news, or shall I?
Oh, that's all you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we received conference approval for our all sites in March, so it is a go. So those of you who have been waiting to book your travel can go ahead and begin booking your travel. Those of you that the council is paying for, please wait to hear from Kimberly with directions about how you should move forward in booking that travel. So we're very excited and looking forward to our all sites meeting in March.
Thank you so much. We're so excited too. Lori asked if you guys are going to be sharing, and I believe that you do, right? You save these and you post them.
We do. It'll be available on the website. And we're going to ask that everyone please complete the evaluation that will pop up at the end of the webinar. And I think Lori had a question about all sites. It's March 7th through 9th.
So what are the travel days on all sites then?
The travel days would be Sunday, March 6th because we start at 8 a.m. on the 7th, and then we are hoping that the majority of folk will be able to get out on March 9th after the meeting ends at 1. So those of you who are booking travel, we ask that you please not book travel before 3 o'clock so that you can stay through the end of the meeting.
Michelle, I think Lori has a question regarding this. She wants to know if the steering committee is meeting on Monday.
Oh, yes. So thank you, Lori. Yes, the steering committee meets on Monday. And so the people who are traveling from the sites will not need to be there on Monday. Thank you. There are 2 separate meetings. So on Monday, the steering committee will meet, and then on Tuesday and Wednesday, the steering committee and the all sites meeting will kind of flow in together. We'll have steering committee members who will be attending all sites to provide technical assistance and training to the sites. So if you are traveling from Montana or Virginia, you do not need to travel on Sunday. You would actually travel on Monday. Thanks, Lori, for that.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much for letting us talk about some of these grant details. Put us on the agenda, please, for sometime next year.
Yeah, because I think we're going to need to do this again when the June reports are due. All right. Does anybody have any final questions or comments?
Thanks, everyone, and keep up the great work.
Okay.